In this video, we're going to check the calibration. You shouldn't have to do this unless you're having problems with your first layer sticking to the bed, meaning it's not sticking to the bed and you've applied your hairspray and your bed is in good shape and whatnot. If it doesn't stick to the bed, you may need to tweak your calibration. The other reason you might need to tweak your calibration is if the head is crashing into the bed. Hopefully that won't happen anymore, but just in case, this is how you can calibrate it. So, printer turned on, you can hear it running. I do not have it connected to the laptop. This is all done at the printer control center. So what we're going to do, first thing we want to do is you push in on the button, so it clicks in, and then it rotates. So the first thing we want to do is we want to go to prepare. We're going to prepare, we're going to click, and we're going to auto home. So you can see how the arrow moves up and down, that's as I rotate left and right, and then click to select. So we're going to auto home it. You should hopefully see it not crash into the bed. Yeah, it's headed back up now, so it's going to come down. And once the blue sensor, that's the blue sensor on it right there. Once that detects the metal, it should stop. The calibration comes in when you notice the bottom of the blue sensor is higher than the bottom of your nozzle. So right now, once it's done auto homing, you'll see your z-axis is plus 3.11 millimeters. That is the distance from the tip of your hot end to the bottom of your sensor to where it detects. So we're going to calibrate this a little bit to see what we need to do. If it is going to adhere, I notice we're not adhering to the bed quite so much, so I think we need to reduce this number to like 3.10. So we're going to take like 1/100 of a millimeter off or so to calibrate this thing. So to check calibration, we're going to go into this menu, we're going to go down to prepare, we're going to click, we're going to go down to move axis, we're going to click, we're going to rotate this down to move the Z axis. And then we're going to keep scrolling down until you find the 0.1 millimeter. That's the one we want. We're going to select that. Okay? So now, you can see we've got a 3.1 on this one, which corresponded to the one on the main menu. So now, we can reduce this. If we reduce this down to 0, by turning clockwise, we should be able to turn this down to 0. Be very careful. You don't want to go past 0. 0.7, 0.6, 500, okay, so if this is perfectly calibrated, with that set to 0, you should be able to take a standard piece of paper and slide it in under your nozzle. So you can see I'm able to move the paper in. It moves back and forth fairly freely. There's not much grabbing. So what I want to do is I want to, just to verify, I'm going to go back to move axis because this reset because I took too long. Move Z, move 0.1 millimeters. I want to go down to minus 0.1. Okay, so now when I go to move this paper, it still moves, but I feel a little bit of drag on it this time. If we were to go another one, that's very, I can move it, but it's a lot harder this time. 0.3, you should get to a point where you really just can't even move the thing at all. I'm going to say that's too tight. It's hard to push it. So I think our new calibration should be touch and go here. It's kind of you kind of get a feel for it. Yeah, no, I think I'm going to go with a -0.2. You'll find one that has a little bit of drag, maybe kind of a medium amount of drag. And once you calibrate it and print, if you're still finding that your bottom level isn't quite right, you just may have to come back in and do this again. Okay, so waited too long. So prepare. I'm going to auto home it one more time. I just took the paper out. Now we're actually going to change the setting, which we changed the setting right on the 3D printer. Again, we are not connected to the laptop. And hopefully you don't have to do this process. Hang on, once it's done, it's almost done. Hold on. It's going really, really slow, which is good. Okay, so there they are at 3.11. And we had to go down to negative, what did I say, 0.2? Yeah, let's try negative 0.2. So we need to add to that 3.11. So we need to, that needs to be 3.13. So to change that, to lock that into the system, we're going to click. This time I think we're going to go down to control. Okay. And we want to look for motion. Z offset. So we click that. So this is a little bit finer tuning. I think we want to go, I think we want it to go to 0.2. Yeah, and sometimes it's not going to be exact, so you can just pick one. Okay, so once that's been saved, or once it's been set, then you got to go up to control. And then now you want to scroll down to store settings. You'll get a beep. That means your settings are stored. So now what we want to do, if you scroll all the way up to the top, I'm sorry, I want to go to prepare. I'm going to click on that. We're going to auto home it again. It's going to do its thing. And just, yeah, okay, there it goes. We went back to main. If you wait long enough, it just goes back by itself. Let it level, or home in. And we should see, before we saw 3.11, I'm hoping we see 3.21 this time. Okay. So now let's check that calibration one last time before we start. So we're going to go down to prepare. Move axis. Move the Z axis. 0.1 millimeters. Now we want to dial this down to 0 again. Okay, so with that at 0 there, we now take our paper. We'll try to feed it in under the head. If you find this, sometimes it's actually better to actually heat the head. Okay. So it's a little, there we go. Once I get it in there, then I'm able to move it around a little bit. That's a little better than it was. It still feels a little loose. But I'm going to go with that. I think that's fine for now. Okay, so that's calibrated. Now you can go to printing, which again is your other video.